People who work closely with the space program know intuitively that what they're doing is searching for that next frontier, always facing a new set of risks with unknown results. This afternoon, veteran test pilot Chuck Yeager, the man called for being the man with the right stuff, shared his views on today's tragic launch with Channel 7's Tony Russomanno.
Chuck Yeager says the shuttle accident will have no long-term effect on the space program. It was Yeager's daring 1947 flight of the Bell X-1 that broke the sound barrier. The high-performance jet test pilots who followed and went on to become astronauts all seemed cast in Yeager's mold, though the retired Air Force Brigadier General believes the shuttle is not nearly as dangerous as those early test flights.
When you look at the results of the unfortunate accident that the shuttle had, it's really not a lot different than an accident in a commercial airliner or a military aircraft. You still have the loss of property and lives. And
that gripping sense of risk that people felt when they were watching the early shuttle flights go up hasn't been there for the last couple of flights.
You know, people have become more and more complacent toward the shuttle program because of the routine operation that the shuttle is associated with, and we also, you have to look at the shuttle the same way you would at a commercial airline. For instance, it's been operating that way, and we still have accidents with commercial airplanes.
The pilots seem to consider themselves to be test pilots, though.
Well, yes, the guys normally, the astronauts that work for NASA, the guy that sits in the left seat and the right seat are trained test pilots. Got a lot of experience, and they're used to being faced with unusual situations. Obviously, they aren't used to being faced with a catastrophe because you're only allowed one.
You are known as an extraordinary risk taker yourself. Not telling flight doctors you had some cracked ribs and full use of only one arm when you went on to break the sound barrier. NASA has been criticized in the past for being overly cautious. Now some people are probably going to ask if NASA was cautious enough. What do you think?
Well, that's Monday morning quarterbacking, and this always occurs after an accident, whether it's in commercial aviation or in NASA or the military. And consequently, I was not any more of a risk taker than anyone else. The only thing that I did is I evaluate the rewards against the risk. And in my case, when I was doing research flying on the X-1 or X-1A, there was no risk too great to get that reward of either flying faster than sound or up into higher speed. And I'm sure the early space guys operated under the same concept.
It seems that every time you add up the equation, it comes out flying is safe.
Yes, that's the way I look at it. And if you don't think so, you ought to take the bus.
At the Grass Valley Airport in the Sierra foothills, Tony Russomanno, Channel 7 News.
Yeager is one of the 12 members of the President's Space Commission. That's a group formed last year to chart the U.S. role in space for the next 50 years. And Yeager says despite today's major setback, they will call for increased